Le Creuset is the gold standard of cookware. They make heirlooms that last forever. But lately, I think they're getting desperate. This is Le Creuset's Mini Cocotte Cookbook. And I suspect that Le Creuset would only make such a thing in a desperate attempt to push more $30 pots that people only use for holding salt. And I mean, look at them. They are just little ramekins with hats. So with the power of subjective opinion, we will find out if Le Creuset is still the master of cookware, or if it should just be called Lame Creuset. And with that, let's get to it. Ravioli Gratins with goat cheese, basil, pistou, and pine nuts. I'm guessing pistou means pesto.
I need 4 mini cocottes? What is this? What? Le Creuset. I spent an arm and a leg buying this. Look at the price on Amazon. Trying to bankrupt the Canadians, is it? Now here's what I'm going to do. I am going to use 2 of these and 2 ramekin dishes. And then this way, not only am I testing the reviews faithfully because I'm using these, but we're also going to see if this book applies to ramekin dishes too, and we will see if there's literally any difference at all.
Alright, let's get back to the review. For this, you're gonna need goat cheese, basil, garlic, sweet butter, double cream, fresh cheese ravioli, pine nuts, Parmesan cheese, olive oil, and for garnish, you're gonna need pine nuts and basil. Once you have your ingredients together, you're gonna start off by rinsing off your basil leaves in some cold water. Should sound something like this. Now, once you're done washing them, you're going to gently dry them in some kitchen towel, just like this. You want to treat it like it's a little woo-woo gaga baby. So yes, exactly like this. Once you've strangled your basil dry, we're gonna make our pesto. Bring out a mixer. I'm using a mortar and pestle. Mix together your basil, degermed garlic, and oil. Mix it up until it looks pesto-y, like this. Set that aside, and then we're gonna put on a pot of water and overly salt it, like the ocean. Also, don't gawk at the water like this, like some idiot. Toss in your ravioli, cook it for 1 minute, take out the ravioli, and put it to the side. From here, grab your mini cocottes, take the little hats off, and then you are going to butter them. Now after you've slathered them in grease, you are going to add a layer of ravioli to each, followed by a spoonful of that goat cheese, followed by a layer of your pesto, followed by a teaspoon of pine nuts, followed by another layer of ravioli, followed by a tablespoon of cream, followed by another layer of goat cheese, topped with more pesto, ravioli. You're probably wondering why I don't have ravioli here. Well, it's because this goddamn cookbook said to get 200 grams of ravioli instead of 12 whole pieces. And therefore, I ran out. Alright, so cream, cheese, transfer to a baking tray and bake at 480 degrees Kelvin for 10 minutes. While that's baking, chop up your basil and then get your pine nuts ready.
Did I mention we still have this much butter?
Yeah, this recipe called for way more butter than what the ingredients tell you to use. Dear Le Creuset, do not make me measure out 55 grams of butter just to use a microscopic smear, you absolute potato heads. With aggressive confusion, Matt. When you're done being aggressively confused, you're going to pull your food out of the oven. You're going to top it with your pine nuts and your basil, and then you are ready to serve.
Huh. This looks nothing like the picture. I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. I don't know what to think. Wow! That pesto is spicy. Ravioli? That garlic is spicy in a very undelightful way to this dish. This is basically a shitty version of a lasagna without the meat and with pesto and pine nuts. I like the crunch of the pine nuts. I do not like the spiciness of the pesto. It does not work here. The garlic is just providing such a freaky flavor that does not belong here. It's not layered nicely. The garlic is making it spicy. It's not a disgusting dish by any means. It's just not well put together at all.
All things considered, and considering this made my stomach feel like a nuclear meltdown 10 minutes after the fact, I'm going to give this a 4 out of 10. Would have been a 5.5 out of 10 if it didn't make my stomach feel like Fukushima or some shit. Let's move on to the next.
chicken pot pies. Plural, because there's 4 of them. Yeah, all right, let's do this.
For this, you'll need chicken breast, unsalted butter, carrots, pearl onions, chicken stock, all-purpose flour, half and half, peas, parsley, frozen puff pastry, egg yolk beaten with milk, and salt and pepper. Once you have all this, you're gonna grab a sheet pan and cover it with parchment paper. Lay on your chicken breast, then you're gonna slather that bear skin with butter. It should absolutely not look like this. We're gonna use melted butter instead. Lather up that bad boy all nice and good. And then pop her into the oven at 450 degrees Kelvin for 20 minutes. Meanwhile, you're gonna skin your carrots just like so. Get rid of that shit. Slice your carrots down the spine, not once, but twice. And then cut them into cubes. Should look like this. Now put that shit to the side. Get out your pearl onions, and now we're gonna skin the pearl onions. Should look like this. Bring out a Dutch oven and melt your remaining butter. Cook your onions for 10 to 15 minutes, and then bring out your chicken.
I'm gonna be honest with you, these look fucking awful.
Just look at that. That's nasty. What the fuck is going on here? I don't want to eat that. That looks like it's gonna give me syphilis or mitochondria or some shit.
Oh god, it's like leaking. Ugh.
Alright, let's forget about the AIDS chicken and focus on this pot. Add the flour, cook for 2 minutes, add your chicken stock, simmer for 1 minute, add the cream, salt, pepper.
It's saying to throw in the chunks of chicken, but it didn't ever ask me to cut up the chicken into chunks. So let's do that.
Alright, well, grab your AIDS chicken and cut it up into chunks like this. Try not to touch it with your bare skin. Toss in the chicken, carrot, peas, and parsley. Stir it up. Now divide this mixture across your 4 mini cocottes. Grab your puff pastry, cut it up, and flatten it out. I'm using a ramekin here to cut out circles. Take the circles, transfer your mini cocottes to a sheet tray, baste it with your egg mixture, and then apply the puff pastry circles. Stab holes in the middle, lather your egg mixture on top, and then bake at 480 degrees Kelvin for 15 to 20 minutes. Pull it out of the oven, pray to God that the chicken doesn't create a new disease inside your body, and we're ready to go.
I've never made a chicken pot pie before, so this is very interesting. It smells delightful. I've eaten plenty of chicken pot pies though. Now, that brothy sauce by itself tastes amazing. I'm going to attribute at least 90% of that to the fact that I used a homemade stock that I made, which was high quality in itself. Obviously, if you use a lower quality stock, it's not going to taste as good. I like the bite-sized pearl onions. I think they're really cool. I think it could be a lot more flavorful than this. There's nothing wrong with this chicken pot pie. It's just not amazing. This is not bad. This is actually a really standard, what I would call a chicken pot pie.
The lack of salt and flavor is holding this back from greatness, but it's not bad. I'm gonna give that a 6 out of 10.
All right, moving on to the next one. Chocolate cocottes with molten hearts. I don't know what a molten heart is. I just assume that this is a chocolate lava cake.
And for this recipe, you're gonna need bittersweet chocolate, butter, eggs, sugar, all-purpose flour, and the zest of 1 orange, minus the orange. You're not gonna need that. I just wanted to show you my orange. Butter up your little expensive boys, and remember, just because it's mini doesn't mean it deserves less respect. Sprinkle some flour into there, tap out all the excess flour, put a pot of water on the heat and let that come to a boil. While we're waiting for that, grab a large bowl, toss in your eggs, and then beat in the sugar 1 tablespoon at a time.
Now, you can use a hand whisk to finish up the job of whisking your eggs. However, the book says you will need to whisk for 15 minutes. Use a hand whisk to reduce your time greatly.
And while you're at it, don't ever put your feet on the counter like that. Fuck is wrong with you? Regardless, just use the electric hand mixer. You know you have the right one if it sounds like this. Mix it till it looks like this, and we are ready to melt our chocolate.
Now the instructions say to melt the chocolate over boiled water. Boiled as in past tense, which means if you put it over boiling water, you are fucking up the instructions.
Wow, astute observation, genius. Okay, we're gonna take this off of a boil. If it's done boiling, it should look like this. Place the saucepan over the boiled water. Mix in your butter and chocolate and mix until it looks nice and luscious like this. Now let it cool. Once it's cool, fold in your egg mixture, and then decide you want to actually do it over there instead. Now you're gonna fold in your egg mixture, but over here this time. Once you do that, you're gonna sprinkle the flour into the mixture, little by little, until it's all mixed together like this. Toss in your orange zest, but not all, save some for garnish. Give her one last stir. Then you're gonna bring out your mini cocottes, and then you're gonna pour this mixture evenly between them. And finally, bake at 480 degrees Kelvin for 12 to 15 minutes. Pull it out of the oven, garnish it with orange zest, and this says to dust the tops with powdered cocoa and garnish with orange zest. As you can see, we garnished it with orange zest, but the ingredients did not call for powdered cocoa. You cannot tell people to add things to the food and not have it in your ingredients list. Haha, seems to be a recurring theme here. All right, let's do this. This looks really good. Let's break into it. I cannot tell if that is raw, uncooked chocolate or if that is delicious nectar goodness. Let's find out. It wasn't as delicious as I thought it was going to be. As you can tell, this is very moist. The cakey part itself, also very moist. And it has that really good orange taste to it because of the zest. I always complain about how some things have too much sweetness. This doesn't seem to have enough sweetness, and I cannot tell you how to improve this dish. What I can tell you confidently is that despite the looks, despite how good that looks, that is a 6 out of 10. So yeah, it's not sweet enough, barely any real flavor, and honestly, it's nothing like a lava cake. It's kind of more disappointing than it is indulgent, but it's not bad at all. It's just a little bit over mid. If you are still here, we're at 33 subscribers. That's insane. Thank you. For our second order of business, we have determined the tentative score for this cookbook using the ratings of the first 3 recipes. With ravioli gratins sitting at a 4, chicken pot pies at a 6, and chocolate cocottes at a 6, we've got a tentative cookbook score of 5.3 out of 10. I will admit, I expected a multi-billion-dollar company to do a little bit better. But we're not done with this cookbook yet. There will be a part 2. Thank you for watching. I appreciate you.